I loved Thomas Clark for 6 years, and finally in the 7th year, I got my wish and married him. Little did I expect that on our wedding night, he would cheat on me. He even blatantly brought his ex-girlfriend to our marital bed to sleep together. We had the wedding before getting the marriage license. As an unmarried person, who I sleep with is none of your business, he said disdainfully. The next day, I went and got the marriage certificate with another man. Little did I expect he would lose his mind. Gently, Thomas. Hearing the soft moans coming from the room, my heart sank to the lowest depths. On our wedding night, in our bridal chamber, Zuhui couldn't hold back any longer and kicked the door open, with a bang. What came into view was a scene of complete disarray and the half-dressed Thomas with his ex-girlfriend, Chi Yoon, on the bed. The most striking sight was the shattered wedding photo on the floor, splashed with red wine. With a crack splitting right between the two hand-holding figures in the picture. "Thomas, you bastard, today's your wedding day with Jennifer Roberts. Have you no shame?" Zuhui screamed at him. Thomas covered the beauty in his arms with the blanket, took a lighter from the nightstand to light a cigarette, and blew smoke rings one by one, showing no intention of responding. He had always been like this. People or matters he didn't care about weren't worth wasting time explaining. "Thomas, is this the one who's been licking your boots for over 4 years? Chi-Yoon blinked her peach blossom eyes, sizing me up with undisguised contempt before concluding, "Not impressive at all. No wonder you looked down on her." Zuhui was furious and rushed forward to tear her apart, startling Chi-Yoon, who shrank further into Thomas's arms. I quickly pulled Zuhui back, looking despondently into Thomas's eyes. Must our wedding be ruined like this? I knew he would do something today. But I never expected him to roll straight into bed with her, on our wedding bed, no less. Thomas smirked and said, "We haven't signed the marriage certificate. Legally, we're not husband and wife. So, as a single person, who I sleep with is none of your business." Word by word, they struck me like an icy blast. My hands clutched at my skirt, trembling slightly. A sharp pain throbbed in my chest, as if my entire body had been drained of strength in an instant, leaving me unsteady on my feet. I clenched my teeth, forcing myself not to collapse. At the very least, I can't collapse in front of them. Clearly, they were the ones caught in the act. Yet I'm the one who feels like a clown. The man who once loved me deeply is now humiliating me like this. I met Thomas while studying abroad in Germany. He had been staying there alone since he was very young, and since I was new to the place, he helped me a lot. After we got together, his care for me could be described as meticulous. Though somewhat cold-blooded and scheming, he never hesitated to show his love for me. I thought we would be happy forever, but unexpectedly, we both received news of an arranged marriage from our families. We returned to our home country together, swearing to each other that we would refuse this arranged marriage. But fate plays tricks on people. The good news is, our arranged marriage partners turned out to be each other. The bad news is, ever since then, his attitude towards me has done a complete 180. I've always been convinced he must have some unspeakable difficulty, which is why I've pursued him relentlessly. I thought that if I just worked a little harder and persisted a bit longer, he would change his mind. But the truth is, almost anything in this world can be achieved through effort, except for love. What? Still not leaving? Planning to join us? Thomas grew impatient as I stood there like a block of wood. I took one last glance at the wedding photo on the floor, then lifted the hem of my dress and walked away, flee in panic. The summer in the Ru River region is always rainy, and as soon as I stepped out, a light drizzle began to fall, causing the small trees to sway wildly in the wind and rain. I wandered aimlessly along the road, holding up my wedding dress, letting the rain soak me as the hem became splattered with stains. This wedding dress was designed when Thomas and I first got together. Any relationship that doesn't aim for marriage is just fooling around. "Jennifer, I'll marry you soon." These were his exact words at the time. I looked down at the wedding dress I was wearing, which was originally meant to be a token of love, but now it felt utterly ironic. I couldn't even force a smile. Feeling waves of bitterness in my heart. Beep beep. Suddenly, a sharp honk came from behind me. I turned around, blinded by the headlights, and quickly raised my hand to shield my eyes. A tall figure stepped out of the car, holding an umbrella as they walked toward me. Could it be Thomas coming to find me? He still cares about me. A secret delight stirred in my heart, running around the streets in a wedding dress. Aren't you afraid of danger? As the deep voice spoke. I looked up and met the eyes of the person before me, Li Ming. Why is it him? The Ru River has 3 major leading conglomerates. Thomas S. Clark family ranks first, our Roberts family ranks third. And this Li Ming is the son of the Li family conglomerate that ranks second. We've met a few times before and could be considered friends. I felt both disappointed and surprised. Disappointed that the visitor wasn't Thomas, and surprised at how Li Ming could appear here. Li Ming opened the umbrella, shielding me from the falling raindrops, and said gently, "They say a wedding day is the most beautiful day in a girl's life. Why are you making yourself so disheveled? Do you think I wanted to?" I sighed. By the way, why did you come? Let's get in the car first." Li Ming looked up and observed, "The rain is getting heavier. I didn't bring my phone when I came out, and it would really be troublesome if it started pouring heavily later." After some thought, I decided to get in the car with him. He handed me a bottle of water and a towel, then turned up the air conditioning a bit. "See for yourself." Li Ming took out his phone, found a page, and handed it to me. It was tonight's headline news, titled "Clark Group's Young Master Caught in Bed with Popular Starlet on His Wedding Night." It became a buzzword in an instant. Clicking in leads to an accusatory article, accompanied by several photos below, one of which shows Thomas clenching his teeth while covering his forehead. Zoom in and you can see the blood streaming down. I didn't even need to think to know who did it. That Zhu Hui, to vent my anger, actually resorted to physical violence. "Shall we grab some late-night snacks and chat?" Li Ming said softly. I agreed. Today had really given me a headache. Li Ming found a seaside restaurant. He seemed to be a regular, as the owner immediately seated us at the best table. "Xiaoli, why didn't you tell me about your wedding?" The owner's eyes sparkled as she looked me over. "The bride is so beautiful." I hastily waved my hands, about to explain, but Li Ming cut in first. "Sister Kui, you've misunderstood. She's a friend of mine. We were out taking photos when it suddenly started raining." Sister Kui muttered a few words, half convinced, and walked away. "That outfit of yours is indeed a bit troublesome. Change into another set, it's wet anyway," Li Ming said with a laugh. "Otherwise, everyone will think you're my bride." Though he was joking, his tone was full of ambiguity. "Let me get changed, and the dishes will be served by then." Li Ming poured the red wine, swirling the glass while looking at me, and said, "How about considering marrying me?" I almost spat out the wine. What did he just say? Looking at my expression of disbelief, Li Ming burst out laughing. "Is it really that surprising? Li Ming, are you serious?" I asked in return. "Today has been quite the drama. Wedding in the morning, getting cheated on at night, and a new marriage proposal in the early hours. When did you start liking me?" I rephrased my question. Although we were friends, we hadn't spent much time alone together. "Who said I like you? If you don't like me, then why would you want to marry me?" This person's words always manage to catch you off guard. You can never predict what they'll say next. Right now, the 3 major corporations are keeping each other in check. If any 2 of them were to ally, it would pose a threat to the third. Li Ming analyzed. "You're the only child, you should at least think about the family business." His words truly served as a wake-up call for me. My marriage to Thomas was entirely because the group has been facing repeated setbacks in recent years. My father's health has been poor, and my mother isn't adept at handling these business matters, so we sought a reliance. Thomas dislikes me for this very reason. He believes I pursued him relentlessly for personal gain, but the facts have proven that Thomas is unreliable. My love life has already failed. Must my family's fortune follow the same fate? Li Ming, on the other hand, is a viable candidate for cooperation. Rest assured. "My approach isn't about merging with your conglomerate," Li Ming stated. "With Clark's growing dominance, I'm merely seeking self-preservation. Businessmen prioritize interests over emotions." And Li Ming exemplifies this principle perfectly. "Let me think it over," I replied hesitantly, admitting to myself that lingering feelings for Thomas still remained. "Good," he smiled and raised a toast to me. "Here's to our smooth cooperation." We were chatting idly when a cold voice suddenly sounded beside us. "You seem quite at ease." I looked up and met Thomas's gaze. his eyes darkly fixed on us. The wound on his forehead had been bandaged, his clothes were somewhat disheveled, and his body was damp from the rain. Did he come looking for me, little clerk? Long time no see. Li Ming stood up, extended his right hand, and greeted with grace. Thomas didn't acknowledge him, leaving Li Ming no choice but to awkwardly withdraw his hand. How did you? I stood up. Before I could finish my sentence, Thomas directly threw his phone at me. Now, immediately, contact your best friend and have her take down the headline, Thomas said coldly. Chiyun has a movie coming out soon. And I don't want anything else affecting her before that. So the reason he rushed to find me so late wasn't because he was worried about my safety, but all for someone else. I let out a cold laugh and handed the phone back to him. Sorry, I can't help you. With that, I turned and sat down, pretending to eat as if nothing had happened. This was the first time in years I'd spoken to him like this. Before, I'd always been respectful. Would you like to grab a bite together, little clerk? Li Ming said warmly. My treat. Thomas glanced at me and Li Ming, sneering. Jennifer, failing to cling to me, you switched targets quite fast. How disgusting can you be? Indeed fast, so fast that the very next day, Li Ming and I got our marriage certificate, just stepping out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. My phone started buzzing incessantly. Opening it, I was flooded with messages from friends, along with the headline news, Robert's family heiress changes husbands overnight. Eloping with the eldest son of the Li family. The overwhelming comments below are giving me a headache. Seriously, do rich people always play such games? One cheats, the other gets married in a flash. Exactly, didn't they say before that Thomas and Jennifer had been in love for years? How did they both change their hearts one after another so suddenly? Guess for a prize. Everyone take a guess. Thomas or Jennifer, who cheated first, followed by a poll. No. Don't these people have anything better to do? They're still running prize quizzes here. I was scrolling through these messages, getting a headache from them, when suddenly Li Ming, who had been walking ahead, stopped without warning, causing me to bump right into him. Why did you stop so suddenly? I complained, only to look up and see someone standing not far away. Thomas had a dark expression, his brows tightly furrowed, as if he wanted to tear someone apart. Recalling how he and Chi-Yun were entwined in passion on my wedding bed, I couldn't help but shudder. Let's avoid him and go, I said, linking my arm with Li Ming's. Li Ming leaned closer and whispered in my ear, since he came looking for you, it seems he doesn't dislike you that much after all. Whatever. The marriage certificate is already signed, and I don't want to care about it anymore. Just then, Thomas quickly walked over and pulled me away from Li Ming in one swift motion. What are you doing? I hissed in pain. Was he trying to strangle me with that much force? A shotgun wedding. Jennifer, you really would sacrifice anything for the company's benefit, wouldn't you? Thomas said through gritted teeth. Any man who's useful to you will do. Is that it? Anyone could hear the unmistakable sourness dripping from his words. I broke free from his grip and said politely, sorry, but this is my business. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with you, does it? I just don't want to tarnish my reputation, Thomas said coldly. Having a fiancé who impulsively married some random man halfway through, I'm afraid people will look at me through colored glasses. Fiancé. This was the first time I'd heard those 3 words from his mouth. For years ago, the day both sets of parents decided on the arranged marriage, it was announced to the entire Ruhe. Everyone knew I was Thomas's fiancé, of course. Everyone also knows that he never acknowledged me and had numerous women while living a wild life outside. Now that I've already registered my marriage with someone else, he still insists on labeling me as his fiancé. How ridiculous. I remember last night's trending topic was about young Mr. Clark. Reputation depends on one's own actions. How can you blame my wife for it? Li Ming reached out to hold me, deliberately emphasizing the words my wife, not to mention Thomas. Even I was stunned for a long time. This person really got into character quickly. Thomas clenched his fists, his eyes practically wishing they could stab Li Ming on the spot, daring to provoke him like this. If it were anyone else, they'd surely be in for a world of hurt in minutes. But then again, Li Ming also has power and influence, so Thomas couldn't easily take action. Just as they were about to come to blows, I quickly pulled Li Ming away, leaving Thomas alone, staring intently at our retreating figures. Even I didn't notice the flicker of sorrow that passed through his eyes. The news of Li Ming and I getting married in a flash caused such a stir. While his parents were relatively easy to handle, I had no idea how to explain this to my own parents. Before I could even speak, my mom sent me a message: as long as you're happy, whatever choice you make, your dad and I will fully support you. But Clark family is not to be trifled with after all. Thomas and his father are cut from the same cloth. If they're displeased, they'll surely retaliate. Clark Corporation cut off supplies to one of our companies, causing significant losses. But my parents didn't breathe a word to me about it, nor did they blame me. Fortunately, Li Ming helped me fill in this gap, but I can't always rely on others to help me. So I gradually started getting involved in the group's affairs. In the past few years, I spent all my time chasing after Thomas and knew nothing about these matters. Thinking back, I really wasted a lot of time. When one immerses themselves completely in work and stays busy, they begin to realize that some things aren't as important as they once seemed. For example, Thomas, whether he still loves me or not. That day, I worked until midnight, but unexpectedly received a text from Thomas. Rooftop of Pangtian Tower. I'll be waiting. Those few words left me utterly confused. Is there something you wanted to talk about? Calling me so late, just when I was almost over it, you suddenly reappeared in my life. Torn between going and not going, I ultimately chose the former. After saying hello to Li Ming, I drove to the destination. I don't even know why I came here, as if led by some inexplicable force, yet somehow still anticipating something. The rooftop was covered with candles and surrounded by small colorful lights, arranged in a rather romantic setting. As the music started playing, my heart began pounding uncontrollably. Then, Thomas walked out wearing a black suit, holding a bouquet of baby's breath. I've fantasized about this scene countless times. You're a married woman now, yet you dare to come meet me at midnight? Thomas interrogated with a tone. Shall we keep playing this game? Playing. Before I could react, Chi-Yun stepped out from behind him, wearing the evening gown I personally designed. A crowd of people also emerged from the surroundings, with two of them holding up a banner that read, "Congratulations to little Clark and the beautiful Chi on your engagement," with a series of popping sounds. Confetti rained down over their heads. Only then did I realize that Thomas had deliberately called me over. Having fun? You are my most important guest, he said with a carefree air, just to embarrass me. Right, what a jerk. Those two words filled my mind. Thomas, Thomas, you always act so superior. Even when you're wrong, you still find a way to force the other person to admit their mistake. I picked up a glass of red wine and said generously, all right then, I wish you both the best. I'll transfer the red envelope to you later. No need for the red envelope. We find money from someone like you dirty, Chi-Yun said in a sweet yet venomous tone. It's hard to imagine someone so beautiful could be so vicious with words. Thomas stood by with a dark expression, not saying a word, probably not expecting me to react this way. Though there was some bitterness in my heart, I still acted as if nothing had happened. After toasting, I had no interest in watching them being all lovey-dovey, so I left after just a few words. Just as I was about to pull open the car door, someone suddenly pinned me against the car. Thomas had bloodshot eyes as he said word by word, "Playing hard to get with me won't work." I snorted coldly, "You're overthinking it. I'm not Chi-Yun, who can act with you every day. Thomas, my passion for you has run out. Don't bother with these meaningless things anymore." I got into the car and drove off, leaving him standing there in a daze. It was already midnight when I got home, and Li Ming had already gone to bed. I tiptoed back to my room. Although we were living together, we still slept separately. On the table were a thermos cup and a note, "Taking you to an auction tomorrow. There's hot milk in the cup with the mango bits you like. Sweet dreams." The drawing depicts a little pig, rendered in a somewhat comical style. It made me laugh out loud, and I suddenly realized it had been a long time since I genuinely laughed from the heart. Isn't marriage just about partnering up to get through life? Isn't happiness the whole point of living? Compared to Thomas, Li Ming is truly much better. Although everything is approached from a profit-driven perspective, there's still a trace of human warmth. Most importantly, he's gentle and meticulous, handling matters with a gentleman's demeanor. I took a shower and finished the milk in my cup, warm all over, and in the heart too. At the auction the next day, as expected, the unexpected happened. Another run-in with Thomas, Li Ming, and I sat in the front row on the left. No sooner had we taken our seats than we saw Chi-Yun enter the venue, arm in arm with Thomas. Chi-Yun wore a low-cut gown, her hair in loose waves, her lips a bold red, radiating brilliance from head to toe. No wonder she's the popular young starlet, with a crowd of reporters following her. I really don't see what's worth photographing. Li Ming frowned as he watched Chi-Yun radiating charm everywhere, his face full of confusion. How beautiful she is, I replied. I don't think so. He immediately denied, then turned to me and said jokingly, I think you're much prettier than her. My face instantly turned so red it looked like blood could be squeezed out. Thomas, they were also sitting in the front row, but right in the center. I could feel his gaze flickering toward me and Li Ming from time to time ever since he and Chi-Yun sat down. How ridiculous. When I was chasing him, he called me a clingy pest that couldn't be shaken off, and now that I've let him go, he acts like I owe him a fortune. The auction is for a piece of land with a fairly good location, featuring mountains, water, and convenient transportation. These wealthy individuals probably want to buy it to build their own villa, a place to relax and reconnect with nature whenever they please. The starting bid has already reached 3 million, 5 million. Li Ming was the first to raise his paddle. I was somewhat shocked, to be honest. This piece of land is worth at most 3 million. What do you want this land for? I whispered. Li Ming leaned in and said, to make you happy. What's going on? I don't have the leisure to live in seclusion in the mountains. Thomas was not to be outdone. 6 million. Li Ming continued to raise the bid. 7 million, 8 million, 9 million, 10 million. In an instant, the others in the venue became mere spectators, staring dumbfounded at the duel between the two young masters. In the end, Thomas won, securing the land for 10 million. Li Ming still wore a smile on his face, not a trace of disappointment. Thomas was invited onto the stage as the final winner. May I ask why young Clark was willing to pay 10 million for this? Does this land hold special significance for you? The host inquired. Special meaning my ass. He's not the type to cultivate refined tastes. Thomas glanced at me, then turned to Chi-Yun. Just trying to make my girlfriend happy, nothing special about it. A steed raises red dust. The concubine smiles. No one knows it's the lychees coming. Li Ming beside me nudged me. These 10 million are yours. Ha! I looked at him with a blank expression. What 10 million? This land isn't even mine. Li Ming whispered to me, this land is mine. Only then did it dawn on me. No wonder Li Ming started the bidding at 5 million right away. No merchant is free from guile. Last time Clark's group played dirty tricks, causing your family to suffer such heavy losses. Now we'll pay them back in their own coin. Li Ming said meaningfully, let him repay the full amount of the losses. Compared to Li Ming, Thomas is still too young and impulsive. Suddenly, I felt somewhat fortunate. Thomas is so impulsive that the family fortune will surely be squandered in his hands. If we were to actually get married, my family might end up bankrupt too. There's something I find quite strange, I said, narrowing my eyes at Li Ming. What's the matter? You're so cunning. Even if the marriage alliance between me and Thomas succeeds, with your wits, dealing with both our families wouldn't be difficult. Why go out of your way to win me over? I want to marry you. Li Ming looked at me with genuine sincerity, not seeming to be joking. The air was filled with an ambiguous atmosphere, making me feel somewhat awkward. Is that all you've got? I thought we were in for something big. A cold remark shattered the mood. Thomas had a tense expression, his voice laced with suppressed anger. Li Ming stood up and smiled politely, saying, young Master Clark is indeed generous. I admit defeat. A mere 10 million is nothing to boast about. Since when has young Master Li become so petty? Thomas retorted with a hint of hostility in his tone. We have other matters to attend to. Excuse us. Li Ming had no time to engage in a battle of words with him and quickly led me away. Sitting in the passenger seat with the sunroof open, I felt an overwhelming sense of exhilaration. Li Ming tactfully played an upbeat BGM, and I swayed along with the rhythm of the music. I've noticed I've completely changed since being with you, I muttered. The people around you really can affect your mood. Back when I was desperately chasing Thomas and getting rejected every day, it nearly drove me into depression. Not a bad deal marrying me, right? Worth it. The conversation flowed back and forth, with bursts of laughter frequently filling the car. I hadn't failed to notice that Thomas's car had been following us the entire way. I really couldn't understand him more and more. Shouldn't one be happy when someone they dislike leaves them alone? Yet ever since Li Ming and I got our marriage certificate, he'd started clinging to me instead. I don't understand. Just got home when I received a video call from Zhu Hui. "Oh my dear Jennifer. You're looking great," Zhu Hui said with a playful grin. "Seems like President Li is taking good care of you." I quickly interrupted her. "Stop teasing. Li Ming and I are just married in name. He doesn't even like me. Ever since the lesson with Thomas, I really don't dare to play with emotions anymore. Besides, someone like Li Ming could probably play me to death." "Who said he doesn't like you?" Zhu Hui said halfway, then covered her mouth as if she'd let something slip. I leaned closer to the camera, pointing at her with my finger. "Tell me, are you hiding something from me?" Under my persistent questioning, she finally told the truth. "Li Ming has had feelings for you for a long time, but he couldn't make a move because of your engagement with Thomas, thanks to that scumbag Thomas. Otherwise you would have missed out on a great marriage." After hanging up the phone, I stared blankly at Li Ming's room. "You've liked me for a long time." "How long is a long time? Don't tell me you've liked me Thomas during all these years I've been simping for you. That's just too ridiculous." I was fine not knowing, but ever since I found out Li Ming has feelings for me, even talking to him feels awkward. It felt just like when I first met Thomas. Suddenly adding a touch of shyness. "What's been up with you lately? Your face keeps turning red and pale. Are you running a fever?" Li Ming touched my forehead, then his own. "Doesn't feel like a fever though. Maybe I haven't been resting well. It's nothing, really." I brushed it off with a random excuse. "Oh, I thought it might be the news about Thomas getting married that hit you hard." "Thomas is getting married," I exclaimed in surprise. "Yeah, didn't you know? I heard they're inviting all the prominent figures in Ruhe. Didn't you receive an invitation?" Li Ming pulled up an electronic invitation on his phone to show me. I blocked him. So it's normal that I didn't receive it. Strangely, the groom on the invitation is Thomas, but the bride's name is replaced with asterisks. What trick is he up to again? I originally wasn't planning to go, but Li Ming insisted on taking me, saying we should go see what Thomas is up to. The wedding was actually held at the Victoria Hotel, the same place where we had our wedding. A sense of foreboding washed over me. The room was filled with guests, with no host in sight. Only Thomas walked onto the stage alone, holding a microphone. He scanned the crowd, his gaze finally settling on me. 7 years ago, I met a girl in Germany, and I loved her deeply. Thomas spoke in a low voice, recounting every detail of our past. I listened from the audience, feeling nothing inside. But later I hurt her, taking out my anger about unrelated matters on her, even starting to despise her. But later she married another man, and only then did I realize I was wrong. "Jennifer, let's stop deceiving ourselves. Stop this nonsense. Come back, okay?" As the last words fell, all eyes in the room focused on me. I originally wanted to ask Li Ming for help, but found he had left at some point without me noticing. My first thought was, where has Li Ming gone? Could he have misunderstood? Lost in thought, Thomas had already approached me, his eyes slightly reddened. "This time I'll admit my mistake first. Will you come back?" In the past, I would have thrown myself into his arms without hesitation. But at this moment, I realized I might not truly love him anymore. Passion can be utterly exhausted. "Thomas," I smiled with relief, "it's too late. There is a saying, I waited for the moon at dawn, growing more disappointed with each passing moment. Fortunately, with the arrival of a new day, we can witness the rebirth of the sun." When I found Li Ming, he was smoking in the garage and quickly put out the cigarette upon seeing me. We both spoke at the same time. "You go first." Again, they spoke in unison. "Ladies first, you go ahead." Li Ming said with a smile, "Did you already know about Thomas's little act? Is that why you deliberately brought me here?" I asked, pretending to be angry. "It's better to tear down a temple than to break up a marriage." He shrugged, paused for a moment, and then said, "Well, if you want to go through with the divorce, I'm available anytime." Before he could finish, I stepped forward and hugged him. "How do you know I wouldn't choose you? Stars don't always chase the moon. So don't be cold to the one you love. When you regret it, perhaps everything will be too late. If you really have to choose, always choose the one who loved you first." Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.